I was 19 when it all unraveled. I was a second-year student at the University of Akron trying to hold it together. Dad vanished in the spring of 2019. He said he needed space. The next thing we knew, he was in Florida with some woman we had never met or even heard of. Mom picked up double shifts at the nursing home. Still, the bills piled up. I bounced between jobs: Lowe's stock boy, late-night dishwasher, janitor work that left me reeking of bleach. My GPA tanked. The only place that finally gave me a shot: Marco's Pizza on Copley Road. Flexible hours, mileage pay, and free slices at close. Good enough. By fall, I had a rhythm. Bag, phone, receipt pad. In and out of the beat-up Mazda I borrowed from Mom. Weeknights were usually uneventful. Dorm drop-offs, hospital runs, nothing out of the ordinary, until that Tuesday. 7:40 p.m. Rain misted the windshield. Ticket read, large sausage pizza, paid online. Address, 621 Hendrick Street. Map said it was 20 minutes west, out by the industrial zone I'd only glimpsed from the highway. Weird detail. The order was for Suite 5B, but is it out there? Everything looked long dead. I pulled up, killed the lights. The building looked like an abandoned body shop. Corrugated siding, half a sign hanging by a bolt, weeds scraping the Mazda's bumper. One old sodium light buzzed above a half-open roll-up door. I stepped out, grabbed the pizza warmer, and smacked. The car door shut. No doorbell. I knocked. Nothing. I knocked louder. Then a voice, raspy, old. "Come in, kid. Door sticks." The policy said never to enter a customer's property. I shouted back, "I can wait at the door," he replied. Legs busted just inside the bay. Rain ticked louder on the roof. 2 steps, I thought. What harm could it do? I crossed the threshold. The floor crunched under my shoes, coated in dust. A single bench lamp lit the space. Everything else? Shadows. He stood near a hydraulic lift. Grubby ball cap, cargo shorts, a crutch tucked under one arm. Waved me over. Then, click. Something felt off. The payment screen had said Jacob Sellers, but the tool cabinet behind him, catching the lamp's glow, Kowalski Auto Repair, different. A name? He gestured to a folding table. Put it there, tips in the lid. I set the pizza down. My fingers felt damp, but the air was dry. Then, "Need help, Pop?" I spun around. A younger guy, hood up, torn jeans, just standing there like he'd always been there. Too wide? Grin. Before I could move, cold metal jabbed my back. Click. Zip ties. Tight. Fast. Cutting circulation in seconds. The older guy snatched my phone, tossed it to the kid. Airplane mode. They marched me across the bay toward a rust-stained stairwell. I counted steps, like it might matter. At the bottom, a cinder block room. One bare bulb. Smelled like oil and wet paper. They tied my ankles, looped rope through. A metal ring sunk into the floor. Smart. No hopping away. The old man knelt, joints popping. "Your mom's number. Say it clearly." He hit record on my phone and held it inches from my face. I gave the number. They dialed from a blocked line. Speakerphone. Mom's voice, soft but steady. "Hello? The kid. We have Tyler, 10 grand. Call back in 15, instructions will follow." She started to cry. Then, click. Line dead. They left me alone. A space heater clicked on. Buzzed. Cast shadows. Time melted. Every story I'd heard. Kids taken off the interstate. Raced through. My brain, I fought the ropes. Only managed to drag the heater closer with my heel, hoping heat might soften the plastic. It didn't. 15 minutes felt like an hour. Then, footsteps. The older guy again, speaker on. Mom's voice, shaky, but clearer now. I have the money. Please don't hurt him. We didn't have 10 grand, 300 in checking maybe, but he gave her an address. A spot near the riverfront warehouses. Said to drop the duffel behind a blue dumpster. No cops, no noise. One wrong move. Boy meets the rats, call ended then, silence. They played music on a cracked Bluetooth speaker. Low volume 90s rock. The kid scrolled my phone, laughed at my cat selfie, and tossed it aside. Upstairs, the garage door rumbled. Maybe 8:45. The older guy left. The kid? Restless. Tapping, his foot. That's when everything flipped. Thump. Upstairs, then again, heavier this time. The kid froze, tilted his head. Thump. Closer. Too soon, he muttered, drew a knife. Then, bang! The door at the top slammed open. A voice. Police! Hands in the air! The kid panicked, rushed me. Knife raised, his foot slid on the oily concrete, hit the floor, hard. 2 officers stormed down. One covered me, the other cut the ropes. Plastic cuffs replaced the zip ties. As they pulled me upstairs, I caught sight of the old man. On the ground, knees pinned, hands cuffed. Outside, a black van idled, side door open. In the squad SUV, a female detective handed me a space blanket, lukewarm coffee. She explained everything. Mom had gone straight to Akron PD. They packed a duffel with shredded paper, rigged it with GPS, and sent in undercover units. When the van crew picked it up, officers swarmed. One guy cracked, gave up the garage. Mom showed up 20 minutes later, face pale, eyes wild, but safe. She hugged me so tightly that the coffee spilled. We gave statements till sunrise. By 6 a.m., they let us go. Mom's old Corolla sputtered the whole way home. I never went. Back to Marcos. It happened a year ago in the quiet backroads of Tennessee. It was late at night when I pulled over a car driving in the wrong lane. The vehicle came to a slow stop, and I walked up cautiously. Behind the wheel sat a young black man with dreadlocks. Asked him to pull into a nearby driveway so we'd be off the road, and he complied. I parked right behind him and approached the driver's side again. This time I introduced myself. I told him I was with the county sheriff's office and that I'd pulled him over because he was swerving across lanes. Immediately he started apologizing. He claimed he was distracted because he was putting his hair up. I wasn't buying it. I asked if he'd been drinking. He replied, "Hell no, I haven't had anything to drink. I don't smoke or any of that." But I knew he was lying. The unmistakable smell of weed was coming from the car. I asked for his license and registration. He said the car belonged to his mother. I returned to my cruiser and ran the info. His name came back as Kenneth DeHart. Everything matched. I also radioed for backup. Something about him didn't sit right with me. When I returned to his vehicle, I asked him to step out. The smell was stronger now. He kept insisting he didn't smoke. I told him to stay with me while we waited for my partner. Then he said something that made my blood pressure rise. "I'm refusing the search." I kept my cool, but inside I was boiling. "You can't refuse," I said flatly. He and I went back and forth. Then, my partner Greg finally arrived. He stepped in right away and said, "Get out of the car or you're going to jail for refusing." Kenneth still wouldn't comply. I reached for the driver's door to open it. He slammed it shut. Greg stepped in, pulled the door open again, and the two of us tried to remove him. But Kenneth resisted hard. He kept shouting, "You can't do this." Greg gave him a final warning, pulled out his taser, and yelled, "Get out of the car now." Kenneth ignored him. Greg fired the taser. Nothing. Kenneth didn't flinch. He slammed the door shut again. Greg hit him a second time. This time Kenneth screamed. Greg shouted, "Get his seatbelt off." I tried, but he was thrashing, stronger than me. Greg tased him a third time. I was still wrestling him when the current hit me too. I stumbled back in pain. That's when I saw it. Kenneth rolled up his window and through the glass. I saw a gun. Before I could react, he fired. 2 shots hit Greg. 1 hit me in the leg. I screamed in pain and staggered back to my cruiser, gun drawn, firing at the fleeing car. I radioed for backup. "I've been shot." As I looked up, I saw Kenneth shoot Greg one last time as he drove. Off-cars began pulling up. People rushed over to help. A woman got me into her car. I was bleeding, barely able to speak. Officers arrived within minutes. I kept calling Greg's name. But there was no answer. He didn't make it. There was nothing I could do. I was rushed to the hospital. Kenny had vanished. The mayor later announced a $10,000 reward for his capture. 5 days passed. Then they found him. In an apartment just 20 miles from where it happened. He was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, felon in possession of a firearm, aggravated assault on a first responder, evading arrest, resisting arrest, and failing to maintain a lane. The prosecution is seeking the death penalty. His trial begins in April 2026. Greg was more than my partner. He was my brother. He took bullets for me. He saved my life. And I never got to say thank you. I'm still on the force. Greg would have wanted that. And even though I carry the weight of that night every single day, I know one thing. Greg, I love you, man. And I'll see you soon. I've never been the cabin in the woods type. I'm a Queens guy. Noise is my comfort zone. Sirens, subway brakes, someone arguing at 3 a.m., that's my lullaby. But after grinding through a brutal stretch at my IT job, burnout hit me hard. I needed out, just for a weekend. It was early November, that sharp edge in the air where the cold doesn't bite yet, but it breathes on your skin. I found a place on Airbnb. A simple 1-bedroom cabin buried in the Catskills. The listing looked unremarkable. Forest views, firewood included, and reviews that used words like peaceful and cozy. The hosts were Doug and Rita, a married couple with smiley profile pics and 5-star ratings. I got there Friday just before sunset. The trees were all bones, the sky turning the color of steel. I parked at the base of a gravel driveway that snaked up toward the cabin. Woods on both sides, thick, quiet, watching. Doug appeared as I stepped out. Mid-50s, stocky, wearing a camo jacket and a blank expression like he hadn't decided if I was friend or problem. "First time upstate?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "City gets loud." He nodded. "You'll sleep well out here. Quiet as a grave." I gave a polite laugh. He didn't. Inside, Rita was at the sink, hands in soapy water. She turned to greet me, smiling tightly, like it had been stapled on. "We left you some chili in the fridge," she said. "Homemade. Thanks. Appreciate it." They showed me the heater, pointed out the firewood, then left with a quick good night. I ate a little of the chili, overly salty but fine, and curled up on the couch with a book. My phone had 1 bar, enough to check email, not enough to stream. That was okay. I wasn't here for the noise. At around 11, I stepped outside for a cigarette. I don't smoke often, but the cold and the quiet made me crave it. I stood on the porch, breath fogging in front of me when I saw it, a flickering light deeper in the woods. Not from the cabin. Not a porch light. A moving light. Low, slow, side to side, like someone walking with a lantern. Then a voice. Not loud, not clear, but human. I froze, listened harder, more murmurs. I couldn't make out words, only the rhythm of conversation. My stomach dropped, like something ancient had just looked up and noticed me. I backed inside, locked the door, and killed the lights to watch through the window. But the light was gone. The next morning I asked Doug casually while he stacked wood, "Do people hike through here at night?" He didn't look at me right away. Not this time of year. I thought maybe it was a hunter or something. He stared a little too long. Could be. Or maybe just your imagination. I let it drop. Saturday dragged. I walked a bit, took photos, tried to read, but the silence felt loaded, like the house was waiting for something to happen. I couldn't relax. Then came Saturday night around 1 a.m. I heard it, an engine in the distance. Not near the road. Deeper, like it was threading through the trees. Then the voices again. Closer this time. 2, maybe 3. I peered out, but no lights. Just sound bleeding through the forest. Then, snap. A branch breaking. My breath hitched. I killed the lights again and crouched in the dark. Heartbeat loud enough to drown everything else. The voices eventually faded, but sleep never came. By morning I was done. I packed in silence. Just wanted distance. As I tossed my bag into the trunk, I saw something behind the shed. Fresh tire tracks in the mud, veering off the gravel and disappearing into the underbrush. That path wasn't part of the driveway. Curious, I followed them a bit. The tracks ended in a patch of trampled weeds and broken bramble. Wide drag marks. Something heavy had been pulled through here. I tried to tell myself it was firewood or a deer, but it didn't feel like either. It felt wrong. I left fast. As I turned back onto the main road, Doug stood at the bottom of the driveway. Still. Watching. No wave, no smile. Just watching. Like he was trying to decide something. I didn't stop. Back in Queens, I tried to shrug it off, but it stuck. The voices, the light, the drag marks, the cold knot in my chest that said you weren't supposed to leave. 2 weeks later, I saw the headline, "Body Found in Catskill Forest. Investigation ongoing." A hunter had found a young man half buried in leaves, shot in the chest. A student from Jersey. Last known communication? He was going to meet someone about buying an ATV. I called the sheriff's department, told them what I'd seen, the light, the voices, the tire tracks, the cabin. They took my name, said they'd look into it. Months passed. Then I got the "Call Detective Coates." His voice was calm, but what he said wasn't. They'd arrested Doug and Rita. Blood found under the shed, beneath a false floorboard. Turns out they'd been posting fake ads, luring people up into the woods, then robbing them, killing some. I asked, why me? Why didn't they? He hesitated, then said, "We found a notebook in the cabin. Names, dates, notes. Yours was listed." There was a pause. "You were under a column labeled possible." Just that. Possible. Like they hadn't decided yet. Like I was a flip of a coin. Maybe I stayed in too long. Maybe I didn't fit their pattern. Or maybe they were just waiting. I don't think about the voices anymore, or the dragging marks, or the body. I just think about that one word, possible, and how close I came to never coming home.